Welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast. It's your host, Matt Heath. How you doing, folks? You good out there? I'm good. I'm 9 days sober, and I'm feeling really good about it. I feel like a lot of doors are opening for me. Not in big ways, but in little ways, you know? I've only been sober for a very little amount of time, but even so, very little doors are opening for me, which I think is kind of cool. Like for instance, I feel like I'm less miserable um, in times that and I'm usually miserable when I'm delivering pizzas. I have no idea why. I should be having a good time. I'm usually listening to one of my you know favorite podcasts. Um, but when I get to the door, I don't know. I probably just exude being miserable. But I feel like I can actually use my sense of humor now. Even in times where I would have been miserable before because I was hungover or whatever. I feel like I'm getting bigger tips. The other day, I was delivering a pizza, and the kid that answered the door just signed it, and he didn't leave a tip in the tips. And I went, but I was so exaggerated that he was like, fine, and he wrote in a tip. And this one guy, I pulled up to his house. It was one of the contactless deliveries, and I'm about to call him after I leave his food on the porch there, and I see him come out. So I roll down the window and I go, "Hey, bro, you want to leave any gratuity?" And he kind of started mumbling like that he didn't want to leave a tip or whatever. And I just yelled, "Hey, I was the guy that salted your walk in the wintertime." And he went, "That was you? Put down $5. So I feel like I've just been in a better mood, and I've been the more fortunate for it. You know what I mean? Um, I've also created a little reward system for myself. When I was sober for a week, I decided to buy online a coffee mug for because I've been drinking a lot more coffee. But I decided every week until I reach a month, I guess maybe. Oh, like as a little reward for myself, I'm gonna buy a coffee mug online. It's nice and cheap, but like a coffee mug for a podcast I like. So I bought a WTF travel mug because I like Mark Maron, and when I make it 14 days, I think I'm gonna buy a little Talking Sopranos coffee mug, so I can have my little coffee mugs, and my podcast guests can drink out of my favorite podcast coffee mugs. You know. I think that's a good idea. I don't know. I don't know. Now, I just want to tell you guys before we get into the show I did with Kevin Hogan, man. Kevin Hogan is one of the guys I knew back in the day at Joker's Wild, man. He was one of the original crew there. Well, he was originally from Chicago, so he was kind of the fish out of water guy. But at the same time, one of the, when I was, 22, 23 years old, very early on in the game, one of the guys I really got to know. And then he moved to Harlem, and I spent the summer in Brooklyn, and we really palled around when I was living down there. And we've just been friends ever since, and I finally got to have him on the show. We did one of the Zoom podcasts, so I hope you enjoy this. This one's actually going to have a visual to it, so that's a treat for you. That's a little treat for you. Before we get into the show, though, I just want you guys to know, October 1st, Thursday, October 1st, 10 p.m., I'm going to be at Comics Roadhouse. This is going to be a killer show, man. It's going to be headlined by Howie Mason, another guy I knew back in the days of Joker's Wild. Great guy. Funny guy, awesome guy. He used to kill back then. I remember one time, I just remember he was doing a bit about the 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 girl not being able to count his change at the grocery store, and I remember sitting in the back watching Howie Mason with Stash Makita. Stash Makita just turned to me and said, "I wish Howie Mason was my dad." And I don't know. I don't know why I remember that so vividly, but I just knew he was one of the older comics everyone respected. All the guys that were in their early 20s, everyone respected him. The last time I hung out with Howie Mason, actually, um, I was having a picture with him and Dr. J over at the Hungry Tiger, and man, I want to. I don't know if I've dedicated an episode to Dr. J yet or not, but this episode is dedicated to him. Hell, I'll dedicate multiple episodes to Dr. J because he was a comic that passed on that I loved. Anyways, Howie Mason's going to be headlining. Rex Caesar, who's been on the podcast. Check out his episode if you haven't. Rex Caesar is going to be featuring on there. It's going to be hosted by the legendary Jeff Wade. So please come out Thursday, October 1st at 10 p.m. Comics Roadhouse. That's going to be a great show. Before we get into the episode, just a word from our sponsor. You probably heard a lot about cannabidol or CBD, but have you heard about the plant science company taking the lead in providing the highest quality CBD nationwide? At your CBD store Simsbury, you will find a fantastic staff that creates a comfortable environment where you can get your questions answered and find the right products to get the relief you need. They will be your number one source for providing quality education about products for you and your pet. Oh yeah, pets use CBD, yeah. They offer a full line of edibles, creams, USDA certified oils, and more, all developed under the guidance of their PhD analytical chemists and health leaders across the industry. And to back up their story, they also provide extensive third-party testing to ensure that what's listed on the products is actually what's in the products. They are located at 1243 Hot Meadow Street in Simsbury and open 7 days a week. Give them a call at 860-217-1433 or visit them at ycbdsimsbury.com or stop in for free samples and the highest quality products you can find. Those free samples are good. I had some of that CBD lemonade when I was there. Holy cannoli. It made me feel pretty relaxed. And it's good if you're also trying to quit drinking like me. It's definitely I would say it's I don't know if I would go as far to say mind-altering substance, but definitely something to take the edge off if you're trying to, and this is just my opinion. I'm not one of the PhD analytical chemists, but for me, CBD helps me sleep. I already finished the thing of gummies that I got from the CBD store Simsbury. I hope they send me more. Please send me some more gummy bears. Those were great. Or some of the lemonade. I love that too. I don't know if the oil, you have to use the oil to make the lemonade, or I don't know. I forget. But you could find all that stuff out if you just call the number 860-217-1433. Tell them Matt Heath sent you. Your CBD store Simsbury, where good health hits home. All right, guys. This show is a killer, man. Enjoy this episode I did with the classic Kevin Hogan.
Like your talk
Yeah, welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast, sir. We are starting. Yeah, I'm wearing a suit. Don't you remember? I said we were going to do it Mad Men style? We were both going to dress up for this podcast?
I do not remember that. I think I burned all my suits during the pandemic. I was like, never need these again. Never.
You know, I want to start dressing up for the Zoom podcast because I feel like my audience so rarely gets to see me. You know what I mean? That I want to do. I want to dress up.
Is this being broadcast like video by video as well?
This one's going to be a video one because it's any episode I do over Zoom is people get to see it too. I figure why not? Why cut it? Why cut the video?
Are you wearing dress pants as well? Can I get a shot? Can I get a shot of that waist?
No, I'm just wearing underpants. I have everything tucked into my. Now I'm wearing jeans.
Oh man, you're looking like Dennis Miller.
Yeah. Well, now since you're not dressed up, I guess I'll just take off the fucking
easy there, Cha-Cha.
jacket. Oh my God. This was supposed to be a special episode, Kevin.
Matt, I do not think I'd be able to fit in my suit. I've been eating a lot. Have you ever had a chocodile?
Chocodile? Isn't that like Cookie Puss? Kind of like it's like a Carvel thing, right?
It's not a Carvel thing. Thank you for bringing up Cookie Puss, a thing I can't get in the Midwest. I love Cookie Puss and Fudgy the Whale. Chocodile is just a Twinkie dipped in chocolate. Really? It's a chocolate dipped Twinkie.
I've never had one of those before.
It's a chocolate chip Twinkie. It's like a Twinkie. If you have had a Twinkie, you're like, this is good. I think it would be better with chocolate. You're right. It's a better Twinkie.
You know what my favorite of the Hostess snacks happens to be?
What?
It's the Funny Bone actually.
I don't know what the Funny Bone is.
You never had a Funny Bone? The Funny Bone is kind of like a ding dong, but it's got like a peanut butter filling.
Whoa, I've never had a Funny Bone. I'm a big ding dong stan.
Yeah.
I like a good ding dong.
No, I think I'm actually it's like a not like a ding dong. It's like a ho ho with a peanut butter filling.
God damn. We're fat fucks.
I know. This is supposed to be a comedy podcast, and all we're talking about is food so far.
I'm in.
I'm talking to you. You're all the way in Chicago. I'm here in Connecticut. We got the hour time difference, right?
This is true.
It's 1 o'clock over here, and it's 12. It's noon over there.
It's nooners, baby.
So this is kind of cool because I've never done one with an hour time difference. So by the time we're over, it'll be what the time it is here.
I think that's how time works.
For me, it'll be just beginning for you.
Oh, so the time that you're existing in right now will just beginning for me.
Exactly.
You're telling me I'm getting your leftover time. Like you're enjoying your 1 o'clock and you're like, I'm soaking this 1 o'clock in. I'm going to give Kevin that 1 o'clock, that used 1 o'clock. It's like when you're a kid and you eat food and you ask your friend, do they like seafood? And then you show your chewed up garbage chud in your mouth. I'm getting your chud time.
Exactly. You know, I only see people who have hat racks like you have every so often. You know that hat rack you have behind you?
I have multiple hat racks. I have a lot of hats.
I feel like only bald guys have hat racks like that.
Bald guys or old men who have lived in the 40s have hat racks like me.
I think that hat rack wasn't invented in the 40s. That hat rack is a newer thing.
This hat rack's an IKEA special.
You know, I think my listeners have come to expect a certain type of interview.
Scumbag? Oh, okay.
From you know, because this is we're talking. I've done 50 episodes already here, but this one, I already feel like it's off the rails.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Matt, what questions you got for me? Let's get this back on the rails.
No, I want it off the rails. Let's
Oh.
keep it as far off the rails as possible. I've been watching. Boy, I tell you, I've been watching Rodney Dangerfield all morning.
Oh, I gotta say, I get no respect.
Boy, I tell you. It's all right today, but I had a rough last week, my friend.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Oh no, that's just one of his lines, right?
Okay. I tell you, I landed into Chicago. I asked the cabbie, take me where the action is. He took me to my house.
I actually heard him do that one today, and you completely butchered it.
Yeah, man. That's why I'm Kevin Hogan's Butcher Supreme. You want a top cut? You're going to the wrong place.
Do you have a favorite Dangerfield joke?
Not off the top of my head. I've always loved Rodney Dangerfield. I think my favorite Dangerfield thing he's ever done was Back to School.
Oh yeah, of course.
Back to School is fucking great.
The whole thing with Kurt Vonnegut in that movie, and
Sam Kinison.
Oh my God, that movie's amazing. I don't know. There's so many Dangerfield. Like if somebody brings up Dangerfield in conversation, I just go, when I went to the dentist, he said my teeth are rotten. I said, what should I do? He said, wear a yellow shirt with a brown tie. I always love that one.
Did you know Rodney Dangerfield had an animated feature cartoon film called
Cartoon? It was called Cartoon Field?
It was a cartoon film called Rover Dangerfield. I think he plays like a dog who gets no respect as well.
I can see that. I would like to watch that.
I don't think it's going to be as enjoyable as you think. Well, actually, we should watch that. What am I saying? Why am I going to shit on someone?
Let's do a podcast where we just do a commentary of that animated film.
Oh, I tell you, I'm walking down the street. I'm trying to smell butts, and they're like, "Hey, easy there, Rover."
Boy, I tell you, I'm a bisexual. I have sex twice a year.
Oh man, that's great! I can't wait to see that joke in a children's film.
You know what it is? This is the first time I've ever wore a tie on the podcast, and I keep looking at myself, and I just want to do Dangerfield.
I thought you were gonna say this is the first time I've ever worn a tie. It's like you go to funerals and weddings just with two buttons unbuttoned, showing off the goods.
All right, so I do want to do my regular format of the show. So take me back, Kevin. I want to know the life story of Kevin Hogan. How you came to be the creative person you are today.
My parents ignoring me. That's really what that is. My parents ignored me.
What was the first time your parents really ignored you?
Oh God, second I popped out. Like this one, we'll figure that we still have to work on the first one. I can't really think of it. My parents worked a lot. My dad worked 2 jobs growing up. I'm like middle class guy. My mom worked.
What did your dad do?
My pops at the time, when I was a young child, was a janitor at a hospital and a butcher, oddly enough, at like a supermarket.
Really?
So that was that. And then my dad became a mailman, like a good one, a mailman, probably when I became 10, 11 years old, and then was a mailman up until last year.
And I think we've had this conversation before because and every time we end up talking for friggin' almost an hour.
Sure.
That a lot of entertainers' fathers were mailmen.
What other entertainers' fathers were mailmen?
Kevin Smith, his father was a mailman.
I didn't know Kevin Smith's daddy was a mailman.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Kevin Smith, his father was a mailman. And who else? Now you're putting me on the spot, so I can't think of any.
I
But
feel like if your dad's a mailman, you are automatic because to be a mail person, you kind of need to be a little gregarious. Because when you see people, you talk. Like I, unfortunately, here in Chicago, I don't have a regular mail person, which is unfortunate because in St. Louis, we had a regular mailman and we gave him a card every Christmas. We knew his name. And I just feel that the nature of the beast. And in this political climate, I'm not getting a regular mail person. So I
right.
don't give a card because I don't know if that's my regular person anymore.
You know what I don't get is you know, in this political climate, the post offices are failing, and they're failing all over the country, right?
Yeah, but to get political, the post office are failing because of laws that they enacted to purposely make the post office fail.
But the
It's
thing I
kind
don't
of a
understand is Trump
fulfilling
wants to do
prophecy.
mail-in ballots this year, right? He wants to do mail-in voting this year. It's like, well, how
No, he doesn't want mail-in ballots.
boy, I tell you.
Oh, I tell you, I gotta catch up on my news. I say. Uh, yeah, man. My parents ignored me. I was a latchkey kid.
Okay, and I feel like I was a latchkey kid too, to some extent, and I'm sure that's one of the main reasons you are who you are, because you went home every day after school. No one was home. You had to make your own, you know, Easy Mac dinner or whatever, and then sit in front of the TV all afternoon, right?
A joke my wife and I always do is because I was such a latchkey kid, when I do something, she always wants me to do things cooperatively. And I'm like, no, I did this by myself. That means you have to do this by yourself. I did it. No one helped me. I did it. And she's just like, wow, little red hen syndrome. And I'm like, I did it. I did it all by myself. I had no help. So you can fold those clothes. And she's just like, I want to spend time with you. I was like, that's great. I want to spend time with you too when you're done folding the clothes by yourself, because I did the dishes by myself and dried them. Wait, hold on. Is this a Toby mug?
It's a Conan O'Brien mug.
Oh my God. It's a Toby. So there's a museum here in Chicago called Toby Mugs, and Toby Mugs are mugs that look like people's faces.
Really?
And that's a Toby mug.
Okay, awesome.
I got a Toby mug. I'm just not drinking out of it.
What do you have any? Do you have
I
any
have a,
Toby mugs?
I have a Toby mug of MODOK from the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
It stands for Mechanical Organism Designed Only for Killing.
God, you are a nerd. I don't even know what I mean. I feel like I know comic books to some extent, but I have no idea what that is. Is that from something specifically, or is
Avengers.
okay? Yeah, I've kind of missed the whole Avengers ship. I saw the first two, and then I didn't see the rest of them.
How they've been here, the Avengers have been around for, in the movies, I think 22 years, 10 years, sorry, 10 years. At
Right.
least 10 years. And you missed the ship. You couldn't be motivated to go to the theater to
Once I
see.
missed the third one in theaters, I did not really want to see the rest of them, just because I feel like they're not really intellectually stimulating at all. I feel like they're more visually spectacular than they are intellectually stimulating.
That's
So
a
once
fair
I missed the
criticism.
third one in theaters, I didn't want to see the rest.
That's a fair criticism, Matt, but you're also not going to see the new Gus Van Sant movie that's coming out.
Which and you know something. This actually reminds me of when I came to do your podcast years ago.
In Connecticut.
No, in Brooklyn when you were living in your place.
Oh,
in
you came
Harlem.
to I thought you came to Connecticut too.
No.
Because I was
You
in
were living
Bridgeport.
in Harlem at the time, right?
Harlem. I was in Harlem.
And I came to do your podcast, and I just remember showing up at your building and the swimming pool just being loaded with people.
Yeah, this I lived in Harlem. I lived at 135th and Lenox. My building was we liked living in Harlem. Initially, people didn't like us living in Harlem because Harlem wants to keep Harlem black, but eventually, like our neighbors and our stores that we would frequent realized that we weren't just gentrifiers. We were trying to keep our be engaged in our community and our neighborhood, and the slowly Harlem grew to accept us, which is one of my great things that I can say about New York.
Well, it makes sense because like if you were to judge a book by its cover at first glance, yeah, you seem like a hipster who is looking to white up the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm always rolling in the neighborhoods trying to white them up.
But little do they know how much you love, you know, things that are of the black culture, like the Black Panther, for instance.
My my this is a super funny story. I there was so I lived in a Marcus Garvey building, which was during the second round of the Harlem Renaissance, and there was like a door guy because that's what the building wanted to do for the community of Harlem, to be like, hey, we can be like the Upper West Side. We can have a door guy and have all the amenities of an Upper West Side community. So my door guy was a guy probably a little bit older than me, named Antonio. And my friend and I who came down from Connecticut, got sloshed and watched the Cardinals play the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. And then me and him decided to walk back
Right.
from Yankee Stadium to Harlem. And my door guy was worried about me, to like the point that he called me. He's like, "Oh, I'm good, man. I'm hanging out. I'm just having a great time." And he's like, kid, this ain't where we grew up. I'm like, I'm all good, bro. I grew up in St. Louis. The New York ain't shit. And it isn't. Like, St. Louis is significantly more dangerous than New York City. So then I get back, and then I'm like, hey, I'm gonna walk my friend back. But I was like, my wife was like, do you want to change into some sandals and get out of those shoes? And I was like, no, I never go for walks in my house shoes, because me and the door guy at the same time said, you never know when you need to run. And that's when me and my door guy came to an understanding that we grew up in the same mindset and community, even though I'm a white kid from St. Louis and he's a Dominican dude from Washington Heights. We had that shared understanding, like, oh, I got to tie my kicks tight because you don't know when you got to run from some shit.
I like that story.
Yeah, man, that's when we had this great understanding. And like his whole demeanor and posture kind of changed when he was talking to me. He used to be a little more like proper and like professional, and then we just became boys.
Because he thought you were a nerd, and then he realized you were cool.
Yeah, because I got my ass kicked when I was 13 over some
Because when he
Jordans.
saw you moving in, he saw you moving all those boxes of comic books in, probably, and he was like, nerd.
There was this other door guy, this old dude, Eddie from Belize, and Eddie fucking hated my guts up until we've been in the unit for like 13 months. It took me over a year to get on Eddie's warm side. And even then, I don't think anybody was on Eddie's warm side. Just an old head, like Harlem dude who went to Belize every year. That's how much money he made as a door guy. Go to back home to Belize every year.
I mean, that's something. What are you, Tina Fey, just talking about how great your doorman?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only reason I said that is because the last SNL at home I watched, I remember she's like, I'd like to thank all the people that are working so hard during this pandemic, and then she spent a good while talking about doormen, and I'm like thinking, I guess the doormen are the people that are directly helping people during the pandemic.
Doormen are working hard. They're gonna earn their Christmas gift from the 20 units that are in the building.
My building here in Connecticut, man, like I kind of wish we had a doorman like here, just
Where
to
are you at? Where are you at in Connecticut?
and Manchester.
Where's Manchester? Is this East Hartford?
It's close to. It's actually one town over from East Hartford.
There we go. Manchester, Connecticut. Beautiful Manchester, Connecticut.
My building's weird though. There's some good like hardworking people here, and
Is
I'm
your
pretty
building
sure
weird because it's all triangles?
I'm on the fourth floor. I'm pretty sure on the first floor, the dude's a crackhead that lives on the first floor because I've seen him passed out in the stairwell several times.
He could just be a drunk.
But I don't know. He just like has that those what you can see in someone's eyes like that
The
yellow
crack.
you know tint.
I know when when you look at someone I'm like, you like crack or heroin, regardless, I'm crossing the street. No matter what race or creed you are, I
Mm-hmm,
just don't want to interact with you.
mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
know a cracky when I see one. Get out of
So
here,
what's
cracky.
what's your favorite drug?
Oh, that's a fun device. Asking me a question, taking a drink. Is there even anything in there?
Yeah, it was coffee. I actually just Kevin, I just quit drinking a week ago, and I've become
What,
a
alcohol?
coffee. Yeah, I quit drinking alcohol about a week ago.
That means no more Yinlings.
No more Yinglings, bro.
No more two roads.
No more two rows.
Man, I used to get smashed on two roads.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Joker's Wild.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. We used to get pretty hammered back. Let's talk. Let's talk about the old days over at Joker's Wild, man. What was one of your favorite times back at Joker's?
I would say anytime I got a chance to hang out with you was always great. Loved going to Sally's Pizza across the street. Fucking Sally's Pizza is some of my favorite pizza in the country, man.
It's funny because it's you an outsider of Connecticut really appreciated a place like Sally's, and me being Italian just appreciated a place like Sally's. And then like I felt like all the other comics that hung out at Joker's like would shit on Sally's, and it's like you don't realize how good you have it here.
Go to Pizza Hut and tell me like Sally's is a fantastic slice. I like Sally's much better than Frank Pepe's.
And this is someone who's lived in New York and you live in Chicago, two of the biggest pizza cities in the world.
I'm also a dude who used to be a road guy. I used to do road work all over the Midwest. Like I used to do shows in Detroit, Lansing, Great Lakes, Grand Rapids, St. Louis, Tulsa, Milwaukee, and I try regional food. A big fan of regional root beers. That was my thing. Anyway, other things I liked about Joker's Wild. Loved Pat Oates. Pat Oates is a great comic.
Yeah,
Really enjoyed Pat Oates and getting to know him while I was in Connecticut. Same with like Sean Murray. Sean Murray, another great comic that I think is in New York right now.
he moved down to New York a while ago. I haven't seen him in years.
Fucking awesome comic. Dan Cowlight, another great comic. Really fun guy. Trying to think who else I really enjoyed. Man, I'm gonna Rebecca. Um,
Rebecca Rush.
Rebecca Rush. I loved Rebecca Rush. Did some shows with her, and she was always funny. I think my wife really liked a lot of her jokes. Darren Moon, who I think is in prison, but a really great comedic voice.
Dave Moon, you mean?
Dave Moon.
And I believe he's out. I believe he's been rehabilitated.
Way to go, Dave Moon. Dave Moon, I hope you get back doing comedy, man. Really great.
But I'm not
voice
sure
in
because I
comedy.
haven't seen him do comedy in years.
Darren Rivera, another really great comic from Connecticut. Who else do I really like? God, dude, I just found out Gary Alexis is in prison.
Really?
Yeah, it could be a different Gary Alexis, but I don't think there's a lot of Gary Alexis, Haitian Gary Alexis in Connecticut.
One time I drove him down to his house, which was like a half hour in the
He's in
opposite.
Stratford. He's in Stratford.
and it was a half hour in the opposite direction of where I lived. And I remember I asked him if I could use his bathroom.
He was
And
like, "No, man."
he was just like, the toilet's broken. So I just pissed outside his house.
Yeah, that sounds. I used to give Gary Alexis a lot of rides back because he was in Stratford at the time and I was in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
And I would give him a lot of rides back. He was a nice dude. I hope he's not in prison, but I liked Gary Alexis. He was a good guy. And if he is in prison, let me know. Hit your boy up. I will work out a pen pal situation. But yeah, I liked a lot of those comics in Connecticut. Connecticut helped me be more loose. Like
Why do you think that though? Why did Connecticut help you be more loose? Was it because it was just a nice community of comedians, like rather than it was I remember the summer I was spending in Brooklyn, where I would link up with you every so often.
gotta
I
give it up for
remember it
Brooklyn.
was like in New York, it's like people are just out to step on each other's neck to do comedy. But in Connecticut, it's like really like everybody's looking to help each other out.
I feel like that was a really great thing. Like it was a very small community, so people wanted to push each other up. Well, people were competitive, but people wanted to push each other up and like support them. But I feel like the thing that made me a better comic was doing a lot of stuff with Pat Oates and doing an opening and being like the MC at Joker's Wild a lot because I learned that East Coast audience don't want to be talked at. They want to be talked with.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're an MC, it don't come prepared with jokes. Prepared to like you're starting because my heroes were always like Stephen Wright and Mitch Hedberg. And so you come with really prepared stories, jokes, and don't really let people know who you are. And Connecticut let me loosen up in those opening slots to be like, hey, we're all here to have fun. It also taught me how to be like kind of an asshole. I used to not be an asshole, but I'll never forget this one time I was opening for a comic and there was this kid and I swear to God, I think the kid had Down syndrome or something, but the kid wouldn't shut up and he was heckling me. And I was like, and then I realized in my mind, I was also a little drunk. And in my mind, I was like, this guy is not retarded. I'm just going to rip him. And I was like, oh, what shirt you got on? He's like, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm like, dude, you're never going to give it away ever. Which is a good thing to say off the cuff. And then I just shut him down because I've never had to shut down a heckler, but East Coast audience, man, they want to talk to you.
You know, there's nothing better than just immediately squashing a heckler. In the Dangerfield special I was watching earlier, somebody in the crowd just yells, "What do you do for a living?" And he immediately goes, "What do I do for a living? I get guys for your sister."
That's good.
you know, and I'm glad we were talking about Pat Oates too, because he's definitely a good person to talk about in situations like that. Because he watching him will show you how to take care of a heckler because it's just so quick. You know what I mean?
He's super quick. He has no filter, and he's really good at spinning the plates. Like he's a crowd work guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pat has some prepared jokes, but Pat is so much more engaging with the audience, spinning the plates, trying to remember who I talked to, getting back I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate this comparison, but very Jimmy Pardo-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And Dixon farts and toots and butts. I feel like I got too serious. I had to say something stupid.
No, I the spinning the plates, I definitely get what you mean by that, and you know, it's something I've actually been trying to work on lately, where it's like when I go to a mic or go to a show now, I really like to study and survey the audience before I get on stage. Think about what I want to say about a group of people, or say about a person, or figure out who's capable of heckling and what I'm going to say before I even get on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't been, well, I know we're doing a comedy podcast, but I haven't been on stage since 2017. I've been on stage in like 3 years.
Dun dun dun.
I know. But with that said, like I'm doing other comedy related stuff. My problem with stand up is that I love it too much. And because I love it too much, I got too anxious when I would get on stage. Like I was never in the moment. I was always like, I want you to like me. And the second the audience gets that energy, they hate you. They fucking hate you. And it's like it reminds me of a Mike Birbiglia joke or setup where he's like the audience, if you're like a persona or you're just telling jokes, they don't like your jokes. But for Mike Birbiglia, they don't like you as like a person because of his particular style. Like they don't like me as a human being, and I would feel that so often. Um, yeah,
I feel like that's all you just projecting bullshit onto yourself, though.
yeah, because I was a self-loathing, attention-seeking comedian, and I just really wanted the audience to like me, and I wanted it to be a career so bad that I just shot myself in the foot a lot. I would get too drunk and not really remember my jokes. It was a crutch, man.
Well, that's shit. I don't want to hear from you. I think you need to get back on the horse, man. And I know it's
Get back to drinking? All right, I guess I'll go back to drinking.
telling you this during a pandemic is not the best time to be getting back on the stand-up horse. But why the fuck not? Like, are open mics coming back in Chicago?
I don't really think so. I think they're doing like some shows again. Um, I think they're doing some shows again, like while the weather is good. But winter's coming, man.
Yeah.
You can't be doing shows in Chicago, as I'm sure you can't be doing backstage like backyard shows in Connecticut come winter.
But I mean, as far as stand-up goes, I mean that's kind of where most of us are stuck at here in the this old country. But you have so many other creative endeavors you're working on. I, I want my audience to know about your puppets.
Oh,
Let's talk
so
about puppets for a little while.
I'm still doing puppets. I came back to Chicago and I directed and wrote and composed a puppet musical that ran for 10 weeks at a theater here in Chicago, and it was great. It was we actually made the theater a profit, and was a success. It was called "With This I Will Take Over the World." It was about super villains and hench people, and like what it means to be alone, like dealing with, like, I always liked Pixar movies, like adult issues, but not adult scenarios. Like I don't care about the puppet having sex. I care about a puppet feeling like lonely, which was always something I always thought was interesting. And then I did a couple more puppet stuff. I've been working on a puppet musical about a giant monster who falls in love with the building it destroys, called Destroy All Monsters' Hearts, which will hopefully, I'm just kind of tweaking it and making things, getting ready for when the pandemic's over and I can do it on stage. But in the meantime, I'm working on other stuff that's easy to do on a video that I can post up and try to get my name out and share my work.
And you're also doing a Star Wars podcast, correct?
Yes, my friend Sam Norton, who is a touring road dog comedian, tours Canada and the U.S. And I are doing a podcast called DTF. Uh, yeah, we're doing a podcast called DTF, and we play two. It's very like Hello from the Magic Tavern. Like we're two characters in like a Star Wars cantina, or who are just getting drunk and talking about real world stuff, but in the guise of a like fake Star Wars universe. So it's really fun, and all we do is just make each other laugh. Like, we just pimp each other out. It's the whole thing is just trying to make the other person crack, which I won last night. Last night we recorded episode 5, and that comes out October 1st. So we're trying to bank some episodes.
Get some episodes in the can before you start posting. I got you.
Yeah, it's just super dumb and funny, and it's just two friends trying to railroad the conversation with each other. It's just really fun.
You know, I'm starting to realize that like the school systems are really becoming like a Death Star in a way, where it's like all these kids are wearing masks. It's almost like they're stormtroopers.
Yeah. Who's Palpatine?
I don't know.
I think it's Donald Trump.
You wouldn't really think that he's more like Darth Vader in a way?
No, that's Pence.
Okay.
And then Betsy DeVos is Commander Phasma. And you know who's Ray? Kamala Harris.
What am I as a teacher?
As a teacher,
yeah.
you're like some bullshit droid or something, like a gun.
Oh, come on, man. I thought I was more like Han Solo going in dressed as a stormtrooper to try to, I don't know.
Wait, are you teaching in person, or are you teaching through digital? Are you teaching
right now?
digitally?
I'm working as a building sub, so all I do is sit there and read the paper.
Oh man, sounds like you're a glorified doorman.
I am, and the doormen are the people that are the stars in this country right now.
They're the true stars.
We are the glue that's holding this country together. You know what I've been thinking about lately? While I read the fucking paper all day.
Oh, please tell me more, Saul.
That my favorite character in any science fiction movie has to be the guy in Men in Black. When they walk into the Men in Black building, the guy that's just sitting there reading the newspaper.
He's got to be the most dangerous guy in Men in Black, right?
Exactly, because like, how is it that like this guy, and it's like everyone else has to get their memory erased after seeing the aliens or whatever. This guy has probably seen so much shit that they've let him just live his life as just a guy that reads the paper.
Well, how do we know he's a guy and not an alien?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
How do we know like he's like the last line of defense? If someone tries to break into them Men in Black, he's like, "Oh, don't fuck with Charlie."
They never really explain him, which makes the character all the better, like.
Yeah, I love thinking about all the like tertiary characters in like movies. Like, oh man, like, you ever wonder what happened to the mom? What the mom from Gremlins was doing during the daytime? Do you think she ever had dreams of being a painter or a sculptor? But no, she's just working on that perm.
I mean, hold on, because you just made me realize that the guy that is reading the paper probably is an alien, because if he's a typical human and he's just sitting there reading the paper, that wouldn't make any sense, because if you have all the knowledge of all the stuff that's going on in the Men in Black, as a human, you wouldn't care to read the newspaper.
I think you would. So world news.
As an alien, you would want to study the human being, so you would read the newspaper.
Oh, that's really well thought out. This is why you're teaching our children. This is why you're making sure that you go into the building and no one else comes into the building.
I don't know.
What do you do, man? What are you teaching? What's your subject that you
My,
like to?
my specialty, I taught 11th grade English full time for 2 years.
What was the book you would make kids read?
There was a few. I really like having kids read Shakespeare.
Bill
But you know
Shakes,
what's really
Billy
funny?
Shakes.
When I was down in Florida and I, I was um, I was picking out a play for the kids to read. I wanted them to read Merchant of Venice, and I went into the school's book room, and there's these all the way like up in the corner of the book room was like this box of copies of Merchant of Venice, and they hadn't been used since like the 70s. I really dusted them off, and the first copy I picked up, I flipped through it, and there was
Dick.
a
There's a dick in it.
no, there was a headshot, like a school photo of this girl from this, and it had to be from the 70s because it even said like 1978 on the back of it. But there was a note on the back of it, and it was like it was a picture of a girl. On the back of it, it said, "Dear Larry, the sex fiend of Lake Worth High School. Us orgy fans must stick together. Love, Sandy."
Whoa, spicy.
Yeah. Can you believe I found that in a book?
The most unbelievable thing is that kids in Florida read. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Not
Uh,
much. That book hadn't been used since the 70s. So like I was like, here's this young teacher coming down from Connecticut, finally trying to inspire the kids to read.
this hotshot teacher from Connecticut. They're probably like, oh, he went to Yale.
I'm really starting to think though, I'm starting to be afraid, man, that like because these kids are all using computers all day long now. That they're gonna start saying the books are contaminated, man, with the virus, and then they're gonna start burning books like in Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, that's how it starts.
Do you think that's what's gonna happen? Do you think that's
No,
what?
man. Well, here's the thing. Here's some truth. The virus doesn't stay on things very long. Originally, they thought, oh, you have to wipe things down. It doesn't stay on. Like if you just kind of keep things like open, like away, like it doesn't stay on paper very long.
Right.
And it doesn't stay on organic things very long. Like by organic things, like if you buy onions at the store, you're fine because you can't wash an onion. You're gonna have onion water. It's not an apple.
I don't know where we're at with the virus right now is so frustrating to me because it's really the elderly that are affected by it the most, right? Those are the people that are dying, while the people that are affected by the rules the most are the kids because they're forced to wear masks all day in school. They can't play sports. But the elderly, all the people over 50 and 60 are going to Trump rallies and not wearing fucking masks.
You know what's fucking crazy here? I don't know what it's like in Connecticut, but here in Illinois, you can go to a bar, but the schools are closed.
Exactly. No,
Like, we as a society chose beer over our children, and that's fucking selfish.
I mean, that's pretty much how it is. We've reopened the schools, not fully. There's like some remote days, some in school days. Um, Basically, how they were doing it is like kids are in school 2 days out of the week because Monday there's the A group, Tuesday there's the B group, Wednesday is a remote, Thursday is the A group, Friday is the B group. So as a kid, you're only in school for 2 days out of the week.
Sweet.
Meanwhile, the whole reason you're doing that is to protect your grandpa or whatever from getting sick from coronavirus.
But grandpa's going to fucking Maddie's corner.
Exactly. So I don't really understand the reason we're doing all this bullshit.
I don't. I think I think a thing that I hope really people remember for the election is that the government did a shit job of having no leadership and no organization at the beginning of this virus. Like we didn't have a unified organization or leadership to be like everyone's masking. We're shutting things down for 4 months. We're gonna pay everybody because that's what happened in Canada. We're gonna pay everybody $3,000 a month. We're gonna stop evictions, and we're gonna work on this to get everybody back so the economy can get back going because things are open in Canada. You can go to work in Canada. People are doing shit in Canada. But yeah, we fucked up because we have a fucking moron as our president.
You want to hear a real crackpot theory?
Who's this now?
This is a real crackpot theory I thought of last night while I was delivering pizzas.
While you're burning some tree? Wait, I thought you were a teacher.
I'm only at school half the friggin' day, so because I'm a sub, so I don't get paid fully. Yeah.
What pizza shop do you work for?
Domino's.
Domino's? You're not even working for any of the good ones.
I know. It's terrible. This is a crackpot theory that I thought of.
All right. I love crackpots.
The coronavirus, it does exist. Like the people that say it doesn't exist, that's truly crazy because people have obviously died from it. But it's not the reason the government wants us to wear the masks. The reason they want us to wear the masks is because the government knows that there's going to be a nuclear war, but doesn't want to tell anybody. They don't want they don't want mass panic to come about. So they tell people that they want people to wear the masks because of the coronavirus. In reality, it's because of this nuclear war that's about to happen, because they want people's faces covered for when the United States becomes like Chernobyl, you know? So
I don't think a cotton mask is gonna help us with nuclear winter.
Yeah, but hiding under a desk like in the 1950s, it wasn't going to help us either. But that was the thought that people had.
Did you know? Like, I might be a little bit older than you. I'm 37.
Right.
When up until the Berlin Wall fell, my school used to do
duck and cover drills.
Yeah, we used to have to hide under the desk. We used to do that, and we had to do tornado drills because in Missouri, tornadoes are a thing.
Well, the way that schools do lockdowns nowadays really don't make any sense. What they want the kids to do every time there's a lockdown is all go into a corner and hide in a group. Doesn't that make things easier for a shooter?
It's like, how about
one target?
Yeah, school shootings are a crazy thing that I don't know how to regulate. That's it's a crazy thing that that children have to think about that. Like I didn't have to think about school shootings when I was a kid.
Right.
Like I don't. It's a crazy thing that children have to think about. That's fucking crazy. Have you ever had to do a lockdown drill?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had to do a few with the kids. I was actually 2 towns away from the school shooting that happened on Valentine's Day in Florida.
Park Ridge.
Park Ridge. I was 2 towns away, teaching in Lake Worth.
Man, are you close to Sandy Hook?
What?
Are you close to Sandy Hook?
Yeah, I'm not too far.
Man, fucking Sandy Hook. That makes me so sad. Like they had those 6-year-olds, and another case, Matt, another fucking case when they chose profits over people. They chose guns over children, and it's a fucking travesty.
We're really talking some deep shit on this comedy podcast, man.
Yeah, man. Well, hold on. I got a fart brewing. is what I do. This is why I'm not doing stand-up anymore, because I get too preachy. It's also probably why I love Dave Chappelle so much. Like, I saw Dave Chappelle's 8 minutes and 49 seconds special.
Yeah,
And I was
I
just
love
like,
that. I really enjoyed
man,
it.
fuck. I like, he really is the best comic. Like, to just be able to be frank and to turn on a dime and like really talk about real shit, and then tell like a quick dick joke, and but make you think at the same time. I'm like, fuck, man, Dave Chappelle. I might not always agree, but that's the thing. That's why I love comedy. Is that a good comic? You may not always agree with them, but you see their point,
Totally.
or he's just making you
Do you
think.
think he's the best right now? Chappelle is definitely is the best right now.
I think Dave Chappelle's always been the best. I also really like Bill Burr. The great thing about comics is that about comics like that is, I think a lot of things Dave Chappelle or Bill Burr says, they are like, oh, that's not great to say. They don't believe. They're just making you think. They just want to give you an opinion to make you think.
Totally.
And I feel that's great. I feel like something that we're missing in our society are philosophers, and the closest thing you can get are great stand-up comedians.
It's amazing though how it's like that, like Bill Burr and Chappelle will soar over the cancel culture their entire careers. It's like nothing they can say will ever, be their demise.
Even
Because
Chris Rock, fucking love Chris Rock. I love Chris Rock.
same with him. Same with him. But it's like I think the problem is when comedians start apologizing for what they say.
Well, the only time a comedian should apologize is if they're jerking off in front of their opener. Is like the only like, don't apologize for what you say unless it's not funny, and it comes from a place of hate. Like, like if you're really a hateful person and you're passing it off as, oh, I'm just joking, this is a joke, then it's not funny. You can say, like, the thing that I love about comics that my wife doesn't get is that sometimes I just want to say horrible things I don't mean just to get it out of my head.
Totally.
Like there used to be a thing in Chicago where we would just kind of hang out, all my comedian friends here. We'd drink and just say awful things like, I'm gonna poop on dead kids and things like this. Just like, like that's tame, but like awful things. And we're all different shit, like shit colors and creeds and backgrounds and social status. Just hanging out, shooting the shit, trying to make each other laugh, saying garbage things. And that's a thing that like normal people don't understand. But because of that, I feel better adjusted to know when someone says something like that and means it. And I
I'm
just
totally on your
farted. That
side,
fart I
Ken.
was talking about, that fart I
What?
was just talking about, popped right out.
Oh my god. I feel like we only got like 5 minutes left of it. We could go long if you want. I feel like we barely scratched the surface though so far. So
Well, do you have a list of questions? You want to bang some out real fast? You want to do a
I
lightning round?
actually came into this podcast totally cold, man. I knew we were just gonna start. I mean, we're friends, so like, there's really nothing I could prepare to ask you that wouldn't be better coming up in natural conversation.
Am I the most famous person you've had on this podcast?
Yes, actually, the most famous in Chicago.
Hey, give it. Ooh, we gotta aim higher. There are some pretty famous people here in Chicago, like Oprah.
Ah, um, I just want to reminisce a little bit about I feel like that summer I spent in Brooklyn, where I was hanging out with you, was very formative for me as a comedian. Like I just started watching that show Crashing,
Mm-hmm.
and I had never watched it before, and it really brought back a lot of memories of me really pounding pavement in New York, trying to be the comedian I am today. Like the the stuff he does as a barker, working as a barker for a comedy club, um, and just crashing at other comedians' places and shit like that. Like it was New York's a tough town to become a comedian, and I was glad to have a friend like you living in Harlem just to be like, hey, come over and do a fucking podcast because you know what I mean. It was just like it was a tough town.
I lived in Harlem, and only two people I know, yourself and another friend of mine who's now in St. Louis, came to see me. Like, and I'm just like, I'm sorry I don't live in Brooklyn with everybody else. But like it was just like if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. And it was just unfortunate because people didn't want to ride the hour train. And I'm like, if you want to build that relationship, you make the step to do it. Or you meet in the middle, or you try something. But people just didn't want to do it, and that was super unfortunate about learning the reality of business but I fucking loved New York, man. I loved the hustle and bustle. I loved that I came into New York without a job, got a really nice job, did some awesome shit for that job, and did stand up. Like I did stand up with with like real names here and there, like in New York. Like, granted, it was people being like, "Hey, can you fill in?" And like the headliner would be like, "Hey, you did good. I don't know who you are," but all the other people wouldn't really talk to me, which was really shitty. But it was just like, oh. And I did some writing at the UCB theater, and because there's like a point where I thought I wasn't funny anymore, so I took some writing classes. And you're funny when you make a teacher, like one of those writing teachers at like UCB or Magnet, like laugh, like roll over and laugh. And I was just like, I'm still funny. I still got it.
Totally. I remember one time when I was in college. I think this is one of the defining moments that made me want to be a comedian. I remember my professor said to me when I gave him some writing assignment, and he said to me, "This is not a paper. This is just stand up. This is just a stand up set written. Like you can't write. You can't turn this in as a paper." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "You're saying I could do this as stand up?" Yes, but that's not the point. What I'm telling you is you can't turn this. You know what I mean?
Man, my first foray, my first time doing any comedy was I did an audition to take a summer class here in Chicago. Well, it was in St. Louis, but it was to do a summer class here in Chicago at Second City, and I got in to take this like week long intensive. And I fell in love with it. And then I did an open mic that was not too far from Second City and did well. And people asked me to do shows and like, hey, do you live here? And then got booked for stuff. But I also feel like uh, I liked stand up the best at the time because I was like, I can do this all by myself. I don't need any help. I did it. You didn't help me. I did it. Back to that mentality. And the more I think about it, the older I got, is like maybe I should have stayed with improv. Like I really enjoy working with another person. Like I enjoy acting and taking a character and really going. I love doing characters. It's
Well, you're
super
in
fun.
Chicago, and that's the perfect town for it, right?
Yeah, but we're in a fucking pandemic.
Yeah, I don't have to be doing improv over these fucking Zoom calls.
Oh God, I don't ever want to see Zoom prov. Like, oh, I never want to see that. Like on Netflix, they have like a two-person improv with like Thomas Middleditch and Jason Schwartz. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this at all. I don't want to watch taped improv. Improv is like one of
You
those
like
things that you
that
just
Muppets Now shit?
the last episode of Muppets Now with Seth Rogen being interviewed by Fozzie is one of the funniest things I've seen in easily months.
I still can't stand that you like that because you like. I remember years earlier we had a conversation about the Muppets that were on at that point, which was like they were trying to do a 30 Rock kind of version
Office
of Muppets.
type of thing, that sucked.
And I like that version of the Muppets better than one you were like. You're like, I'm not watching a bastardized version of the Muppets. And I'm like, it's good.
I really like this Muppets Now. Like some of the sketches fall flat. Some of the sketches are just too overwritten. But man, when they just let the Muppets do improv, like let the Muppets do, like the Seth Rogen one is Fozzie's interviewing Seth Rogen, and then these babies start coming out with like nails and poison. And Fozzie's like, oh, I'm supposed to be watching these people, and Seth Rogen's like, you're doing a terrible job. And the one of the babies just starts going, Rogan, Rogan, and they're like, it knows my name. And Fozzie's like, yeah, it's the only word it seems to know. And he's like, these babies should not be familiar with my work. It was just super funny. It was super funny, and it was just like try to make the guest laugh. Oh man, there we go.
Son of a bitch.
It's so funny, man. It made me laugh, and some of this stuff is just over. Like it's just the good thing about the Muppets is you need to write a simple idea and not make it too complex because the Muppets are kind of one note characters. So make a simple idea, and don't try to make them interact with too much.
I think we have different tastes in our Muppet our and Muppets. I for one am a big fan of what the first season of Saturday Night Live. Those Muppets.
Oh yeah, those Muppets are interesting.
What were they called? Those they were like monsters or whatever.
Yeah, they were monsters, and there's this like giant god they prayed to. It
Yeah,
was cool.
that was hilarious.
Um,
I wish I had a T-shirt with them on it.
Man, if you can ever track it down, watch the Muppets Tonight with Prince.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Like you just see Prince, this like icon who like oozes cool, act like a child hanging out with the Muppets and just having a fucking blast. Super good. Also, watch the one Muppets Tonight with Cindy Crawford because one Muppet is in love with her the whole time, and it's like a at the time a no name Muppet, like a newer character. So
Right.
funny.
Oh man.
There we go. That's how we end the podcast on a
Is that
down
how
note.
we're gonna end the podcast talking about Muppets? We always end up fucking talking about Muppets, bro.
Man, I love the Muppets. I love the Muppets are great. I'm really trying to push away stylistically from the Muppets in my puppets that I make.
Yeah.
It's important to have your own style and voice, but also pay homage.
Well, you know what? I wanted to throw out there because you're such a big comic book fan. What is your favorite comic book of all time?
Oh, my favorite comic book of all time. Fuck. The one that I reread all the time. It sounds kind of basic. I'm looking at my comic book collection right now. I don't really have a favorite one. I really like Watchmen for it's just the best example of the medium.
You know what? Alan Moore was ringing in my head for like, I don't know if I could say Watchmen's my favorite comic book of all time, but Alan Moore might be my favorite comic book writer.
Yeah, Alan Moore is fucking amazing. Some of his stuff's not for me, but that's art. Um,
There was
I
one Batman comic that he wrote where Clayface was the villain, and he was like living in a department store, and he falls in love with a mannequin, and like for some reason the mannequin gets destroyed in some kind of battle with Batman, and he wants to get revenge on Batman for killing his mannequin wife. That was amazing.
yeah, man, Alan Moore is pretty great. I really love. I have this omnibus of Walt Simonson comic books. So Walt Simonson was a writer on Thor for like most of the '80s. He was the
Right.
writer and illustrator, and it's fucking awesome. Um, And then I really like this other book because I love the artist. He's the artist and the writer, and it's a crazy concept called Orc Stain, which is about orc culture in the fantasy world. And there's this one guy who can who's like a thief, but orc culture is their economy is like orc dicks that are cut off and then cut to look like coins, and that's how their economy runs.
Holy Lord.
Awesome. It's an awesome fucking book.
Well, on that note, I think that's where she wins because
Yeah, read Orkstein.
absolutely disgusting, and I think that's just pure Kevin Hogan right there.
Okay. Do I get any plugs?
Well, yeah, what do you want to plug?
I want to plug DTF with my friend Sam Norton. We're going to be debuting our podcast on October 1st. Check us out. I have another podcast called Journey into Nerdery that I do with my friend Keith Pazel, and that's more of a comic book pop culture podcast that we do. That comes out every week. And then yeah, and then check me out. Keep an eye out. Check out my if you're interested on my puppet stuff, check out Puppets on Tour. It's a puppet show that I did here in Chicago. Just go to YouTube and type in Puppets on Tour.
Well, Kevin, you're one of my favorites. Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Matt Heath, I love talking to you. We always go down some rabbit hole, but we always have a good time.
And thank you so much for being on the 1000 Comics podcast. Have a great day, sir.
You too. Wear a mask.